There we
Okay.
go.
Now you're in trouble. So take just a moment to settle into your seat and give yourself really permission to find a sense of ease in your body. That wonderful word, relax. And as you relax, then just feel into your body, the feet and calves and shins and knees, thighs, your hips and your buttocks on a pillow or a chair or bench or chair or couch you can be on out there somewhere. Uh, but let yourself kind of sink into it. But then there is this practice of being upright. And for me, there's been a whole switch of from switching from the ground to a chair and just making sure that there's a tilt in the pelvic, which just helps my back kind of stacks the vertebrae. And then once you feel like you're inhabiting the lower part of the torso, then just to explore. And explore in this case is just the belly, the heart, the dantian, and that rising and falling of the breath as it moves you. And then just allowing the knowingness or the awareness or the being present with to move up through the belly and the vertebrae in the back, and the muscles holding you up into that area between the diaphragm, between the belly and the lungs. And just taking a few deep breaths. And just knowing where you feel. And it could be, it could be anywhere in the body actually, but we're trying to focus somewhat on the lungs as they expand, contract, and the ribs expand and contract. And then bring the awareness up and to the area of the chest and the heart. And then bring your attention back to your fingers. And just feeling your fingers. And if you, very sensitive, the hands, and there's such creative things in fingers, thumbs, and the palms and back of hands, the wrists. And then allowing the knowing itself to then kind of feel the what we call the lower arms, the muscles and the tendons and the complexity of our physical body being known by us, being the mind full of the forearms. And then bringing the attention up into what we know as elbows. And then moving up through the bicep and tricep of the upper arms, up to the shoulders and the breath that moves the torso there of the shoulder blades and the pectoral muscles or the breasts in the front, and up into the shoulders, the muscles and the complexity of the shoulder. Moving into the throat. And again, if you find your mind will wander off. I know that. I'm just trying to do a little direction here. And so just feeling into the area of the throat. There's the vertebrae and the muscles holding up the head. And the breath moving through the throat and the and then just bringing that attention into the head, just starting at the base of the spine there as it connects to the skull and what we know is kind of gray matter there. But there is also a lot of other processes there. There is the jaw muscle and joint, the lower jaw and tongue and teeth. And then allowing that awareness to move up to where we again now note the breath as it comes into the body. If the nostrils are working, if not, use your mouth and allow that air to move through the nostrils down into the lungs, kind of expand the belly, and then allow it to the relaxing for the exhalation. And noting just there's the sinuses. There is, again, so many of the sense organs are there, the eyes, and then moving around past the temples to the ears and hearing. And then just moving up into, you could say, the gray matter, the brain, the complexity of that particular organ. And then bringing the awareness, the attention to the crown of the head. Just take a moment just to leave the crown open. Just kind of noting that it's that connects with the space and that's above you. And as you note the crown of the head, I'd like you just to take and that awareness and see if it can't feel the whole body from the tip of the toes to the crown of the head. This whole mass with its five senses. And the knowing of it. And then I want to go back to these two words, ease and relaxation. It's a way that you're being supported by the earth, whether you're in a chair, or bench, or on the floor, or on a pillow. And just acknowledging this, I guess, this thing called gravity of weight. And that when we put awareness in the whole, there is the awareness of the heaviness, but there's also aware when there's awareness of heaviness, there's also awareness of lightness. So sitting here, there is a sense of that ease and that relaxation and that wakefulness of the body and noting the heart and the expansiveness of the awareness itself. What's knowing right now? So if you find yourself wandering off simply because that's your nature, is just come back, start again, bringing full awareness to body, to the heart, and to the nature of the mind or the awareness itself. And if you find it more helpful to just stay with the body and the breath, it's great. If you find there's more attention to the nature of feeling and the heart, then you can stay with that. Or if you find that awareness itself is enough, and you can simply stay with that. And you will wander off, and then you just come back, and you will wander off and come back. Just a note, you are more than your thoughts. Sensations, memories, fantasies, planning, all. And there is something that is completely here, here and now. So it includes those, but is not attached to them or note the owning of them, but actually the releasing of them. Oh, there's a thought. Oh, there's a sound. Always releasing. So if you find yourself wandering off with thoughts or memories or plans, just stop, let go, bring yourself back, and start with the breath or just body sensation or the ephemeral truth of the thought flying by. So in this last minute or so of practice, just to be aware and conscious as I'm going to ring the bell here, even though I guess you can hear it in the room, but not so much on Zoom. And we're going to take a silent 5-minute break. And I'd really like you to use that time of the break, whether you have to go to the bathroom, we get a little drink of water or something, or just step outside to see if you can keep your mind in your body. So you're actually aware of what you're doing. And then we'll come back together and I'll give a little bit of talk and do some questions and answers. And then we have some announcements and then metta. So that's the scoop. So good evening. Good to see you. You know, I was thinking as we were sitting, you guys have been sitting, a lot of you, a long time, you know? So we are imbuing and, creating some kind of, what is it, chi that's from the collective. That's why I think it's so important doing retreats in this householder retreat in the sense of coming together and sitting together. It creates its own kind of vortex. And, but you have to do it, you know, and it's a little more challenging in some ways as a householder and in the busyness of our culture and our lives. So I commend you for not disappearing or flying into the ionosphere, but being here. And, we're doing the 5 spiritual faculties, or, they are the faculties, but then they become powers. And I think at this point we are creating powers, and they are specific in the sense that, I said, I think the first night they talked about the 5 horses, and that these 5 horses are what pull us along. And they are basically, we have that first night was there's faith, and its complement is wisdom, and there is my brain uh, effort and concentration, or perseverance and concentration. And this is you know these horses are led by something, and I always think in some ways because they all connect to each other, and traditionally they are talked about as these 5, and wisdom is that kind of holds them in proper perspective. So, but it needs that sense of faith to create that. And on the other level of it is that there is a way it's being done, and the aspect of which tonight's kind of basis is this word sati, or mindfulness. And sati, mindfulness, is actually the kind of the precursor to probably the most influential sutta and talks that the Buddha gave, which was the Satipatthana, which was based on these four specific um, states. So it's body and now if I can remember them, I guess I sometimes go, I maybe I may look at my notes because my brain has gotten a little bit it has gotten holier as we've gone along here. Uh, and so, uh, of course, body, feeling, uh, mind, and dharma, you know, and these are the four satipatthanas, and they are the functional basis for this particular culture, this particular identity that has been passed down through the Theravadan tradition, particularly. And it is, simple. I think, okay, so there's body. Well, what is body? Body is a lot of movement and sensation, and it's based on this thing, feeling. But feeling's really simple. It's either pleasant or it's unpleasant or it's not. This is pretty simple stuff. And of course, then there's mind, and mind is, what is mind? Do you know what mind is? I don't actually know what mind is. I don't really care. What I know is how it functions, and that if it functions in a way that is awake to body and sensation, then it actually is a positive aspect of how we operate. And then there is the satipatthana of dharma, which I think really it starts out with simple thing like what they call the two truths, you know, or you can say the relative and the ultimate, and those are kind of the basis for in the satipatthana for how dharma actually works. And so we also have, along with that, of course, are the Four Noble Truths and the five of this is the three of those. And, there's a whole book called the Book of Numbers that my friend Gil kind of worked on. He worked on one aspect of it, but what it is it's just means of trying to understand, in a sense, this operating system. And it is really based on that body, feeling, mind, and the aspects of Dharma, And Dharma is Dharma, the word is, you can say it's the teachings of the Buddha, which is true, but you can also say it's nature. So what we do is we come here and we study nature, our nature, our bodies, our feelings, our thought processes. And that right there then illuminates what we know as Dharma. And it really does take some, we have to know it. So it has to, in some sense, it has to be studied, unfortunately. I think sometimes I go, well, could we just go and sit and figure this all out? And there's one aspect of it that's true, but boy, this is a lot easier. I mean, if you got to sit out in the jungle and figure this all out, and not that you can't do it, the Pratyeka Buddhas, they're Buddhas who didn't connect to a Buddha from the past. But in the tradition, we actually connect to the Buddha of the past. So I'm connected to it, you're connected to it, others are connected to it. And it's this, this mélange, this mix of tradition and simple human awareness, And the words, the sati, mindfulness, because it's been co-opted so much by the culture, as you probably all know. I don't have to talk about it that way. But it is also that another word for it is awareness. And so we fundamentally put the principle of awareness as and it's really how are we looking at this operating system and our nature, you know, and our nature is in many ways is just, of course, um, how we react with our body function as well as our mental function and as well as our heart, you know, because we are also feeling beings and we get sometimes what is it? We get swept up, you know. That's the wonderful thing about feelings, and sometimes the disaster, as you well know. But it's just part of us. It's how it is, and we try to stay as aware of that function as possible, so that we don't kind of fall into obsessiveness or denial, and find this thing we really hold to great lengths, this thing called the middle way, that place between things, you know. And yes, on each side are kind of like little cliffs that you fall off, you know. And you know, the Dharma is kind of simple in some ways, that it just simply says, well, awareness. Well, awareness has to have certain rules. And it's where these precepts come in, and I think are very important, you know, because human beings, as we well know, um, you know, when they don't hold to these precepts, there's a, excuse me, hell of a lot of damage that is done through, whether it's through greed or war or, you know, sometimes just, I think, just misunderstandings that then create conflict that make it really difficult for us to, you know, be recipients and expressions of the Dharma. And so this is why this is specifically known as a training. You train in, you know, in the fact that this is based on, you know, I go back to the first one, of faith. You know, if you get this, then faith is not something that is, you know, because there's blind faith and there's verified faith, and we're really looking at, or borrowed faith. We're looking at verified faith. And I really get a sense of all of you here, and probably on many of you on Zoom, is you have been touched, and that because you have been touched, in some ways, I feel like you have a responsibility of owning up to that sense of having been touched, and whether it's, you know, you don't all have to become Dharma teachers, but then on another level, you do, you know, because you have to somehow make an expression of your Dharma, which, you know, could be just uh, about the trees and the bees and the rivers and the mountains. Uh, that's one side of it, is all the nature of that. And then there is our internal process, which is also nature. And it has some very definite problems because, of course, there's greed, and there's ignorance, and there is dislike, or, you know, extends out to hatred, which I think the world right now is in a situation that it's exposed, you know, to greed and just incredible amounts of suffering out there, you know. I mean, just it's crazy, you know. And yet we have, you know, since we began, we've been warring, you know. And I thought, well, maybe we could get over that, but it doesn't seem like that's. that's with these powers of possession and greed and and the harm that comes from not uh, living the precepts. You know, I mean, these are, I think when I always say this because when I first came to this, I was like 21 or something like that in India, and I don't know, it was Manindra or Goenka or someone, they kind of gave out these precepts, and I kind of went, oh, well, that's maybe in Christianity, but not in what I know. I'm looking for enlightenment, you know, and but slowly I began to realize that actually those are foundations. One of the stories I remember hearing about, that the precepts are fundamental to the possibility of having that awakened moment. And I'm really into that awakened moment. I think you either had it or have it or will have it. How's that? You know, and I don't think otherwise. Why? Because this has been around for 2,600 years, but before the Buddha, it was also available. It's just that he was just sort of like I don't know, um, you know, he was the genius teacher, and he kind of brought all these people into the fold of the Dharma, and has been going on for 2,600 years. And you are now fully initiated into the nature of Dharma, and it's a tremendous gift too, because one of the things about, and I'll just go back to these precepts, when the precepts are not held, then it's almost like it creates ripples in the world of a problem. Holding them may seem like nothing, but at the same time, they create the peace and ease, which is necessary for this to work. Otherwise, this doesn't work. I mean, you can go and sit forever and nothing will happen. But if you hold to these things, something will eventually happen. And I'm here to tell you that because I believe in it that much. And I don't think it's fancy or, esoteric or anything else. It's just plain, there is this spark that happens when, there's quite a bit of things have to line up, but they only have to line up for a second, and then the illusion that we're living in gets busted just for a moment. But in that, everything is known, and because that's been broken, then we can't go back. We have to go forward. And it's really why, in a sense, we're here as a community, as a Sangha, because we have touched some piece of that. And now we, take refuge in the Buddha, in his enlightenment, thus our enlightenment. We take refuge in the Dharma as the nature of all conditioning. And we take refuge in the Sangha, in the community who has, in a sense, stepped a few steps along the way. And in that way, we're here supporting each other in this. I have to be careful. I could go on, I can just on and on and on. But I'll kind of trans something or other. I was going to read one of my poems on mindfulness, and mindfulness is the heart of this. And again, if it's being co-opted in so many places, but awareness is something that you all know because you live in it all the time. You know, you're not, nobody's ever been away from it. That's the irony of this. And because you've never been away from it, but you've been so enthralled with beliefs and other experiences that you haven't noticed the purity within this, you know. And that's really the mindfulness is this very pure, clear, aware knowing. Where was I, dancing on some distant past, hoping, believing this reminiscing could ultimately change the past and empower the future magically? Oh no, there I am messing with my life again, giving myself a headache, believing in this ultimate solution. What kind of balderdash is this? Knowing somehow this is not the practice. Tiger chasing its tail, going in mental circles, endlessly trying to outthink my own thinking. How much simpler could it be? Letting go of one's thoughts, constructions, mindful of this holy presence, weaving forgetfulness with this remembering. Suddenly, the little baby turkeys, chicks, little baby turkey chicks, weave themselves through the windy, tall grass, illuminating the joy of one who is fully present, having known what to do all along, yielding everything to the present. So, you know, I don't know why I read that, but anyway. um, in a way, these faculties is to regain our innocence. You know, we've become so kind of, in a sense, calloused, uh, knowing so much, having so much, uh, you know, in a sense, a culture of overchoice. And this is saying, oh no, let's really get to the very simple basis. And the more simple the basis, the clearer it is between um, the awareness and the objects of awareness. Because objects of awareness, if you're seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, thinking, those are all objects. And what we're really looking for is what is it that knows? Because they're all objects. They're all things that, yes, they are in the world of experience and change, but there is no freedom in that. There is only cyclic existence repeating itself over and over. And our objective here is to, you know, to get off the wheel, you know. And I don't, you know, I know that's a big deal, but I also know that there are these precious moments that I think almost probably everybody in this room has had them. So uh, you're not in not knowing. You actually know. But because they're only a fraction of a moment and they change perspective, that you have to then begin to know and grow into that knowing, because the other direction is just more objects, you know, more things come in and go. And we're really, I hope what we're doing here is looking for some sense in the grand scheme of things that we are learning how to work with the precepts, how to note the uh, support that awareness already is there. It's already there. It's never been anywhere else. It's always been here. But there are moments where we aren't trapped between the object and the awareness. And that is the gift of the Dharma, because then suddenly there's space and you aren't caught in the great melange of feelings and thoughts and plans and fantasies and I don't know. We all know. So I'm going to, okay, the way we will have to do this is we'll do, who's the, Adam, you're the carrier of the wand, the magic wand. And what we'll do is we'll do one from in the room here, someone who's present, and then someone who's on Zoom. And you can just, I don't necessarily answer questions, but I will do my best. So, someone in the room? It can be just a comment too. Randy.
Yeah, hi. This is Randy. You mentioned something about being touched by Buddhism or touched by the Dharma,
Yes.
and that then comes with a responsibility. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, I think that a lot of people that have come to these teachings, they have actually seen something, they've been exposed to it. And I believe that, and again, I'm going to emphasize, I believe that they have been touched by the Dharma, and then they have what is it, a responsibility to, it could be not necessarily the Sangha. It could be that you just went off into the woods and, watched nature. So there isn't a prescribed way of doing this. There is somewhat with the monastic system, but as lay practitioners know, you're it, Randy, which is kind of wonderful from my mind. So anybody from...
Anyone on Zoom have a question?
You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, if you have a question and you're on Zoom, this is Robin over in the Zoom land. You can just use your the little hand to raise it or wave, and we'll try and see you. No one has their hand up right now, so if there's anyone that wants to share in the hall, we can go to them. And if you guys on the Zoom want to think about your comment or question, you can raise your hand.
Anyone in here in the hall? Oh.
We have a Zoom hand. Nicholas, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good evening, John. My question is related to awareness, to mindfulness. I'm still not very, probably I'll still be for a long time. What is it? What is it? And how to differentiate and how to recognize awareness from other things, from whatever people usually call mindfulness a kind of intellectualization or knowing that is mixed with thoughts and other things. So the awareness, the sati that you are talking about tonight, I'm not sure, but it seemed to me that it's of a different, maybe, related to that, but of a different quality. So would it be okay to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes,
John.
absolutely. Because it's been co-opted in the culture that mindfulness is, it can be used in many, many aspects. Whether it's tennis or I don't know, whatever system that or whatever you participate with. But it's also very much a spiritual endeavor, and this is where we kind of switch from mindfulness being a kind of a general explanation of living in the present or the moment to actually that has a spiritual endeavor. I'll see if I can't be a little clearer with this, because one of the things about awareness and mindfulness is that it is a moment to moment to moment to moment thing. Okay. Well, that's not going to solve everything. And so there's a word sampapajana, which is it is I can't remember it right now. See how I'm doing? Not that I have sampapajana is that's right. So there's the mindfulness, but there's also sampapajana is clear comprehension. And so there's actually an intelligence that happens when we rest in the awareness, rest in the mindfulness, which is just moment to moment presence, which of course has many aspects to it. But the sampapajana is that first, there is one has a clear comprehension of first the purpose. Why are you sitting here? So there's an understanding that, oh yes, there is a clear comprehension of becoming awake or enlightened, or whatever you want to terminology you want to use for that. But it is purpose. There's also the second, that's the first one. The second one is that the sampapajana, the clear comprehension of suitability. So it basically, it's the ability to not to fixate on something, but to allow it to be digested. So that clear comprehension of suitability is that it is based on this awareness of what's appropriate, what's suitable, what's intelligent to deal with. So that's another. And the third one is adaptability. And so even though we may see it as a fixed thing, it is something that can adapt all the time. That clear comprehension is adaptable to all situations, which is great. Gives you a lot of possibilities. And then the fourth one is it's simply in the sutras, it's called the all. One of these catch-all things. But the all, it really has to do with the aspects of dualism, and that we can begin to um, see that there is, there is self and other. There is a dualistic game going on in our thinking and how we are. And that dualistic thinking is also something that we can note and know. And therefore, there is also the truth is that when that awareness and the sampapajana, that clear comprehension of the the truth of the objects of awareness and the awareness itself, which is dual. It's two things. And when one really recognizes that, then there is a longing for what we could call as the one, and that's maybe uh, in some ways a little bit, uh, I thought, I don't know if I use this word, bastardizing but the thing is that with clear comprehension, we no longer are fooled by just as, because the mindfulness is just moment to moment awareness. It has to be, and they say it has to be married to the sampapajana or to the clear comprehension. And I'm so thrilled because I think that as a culture here in this, that we actually have some real knowledge in how that works, and that's a gift to all, to everyone, But again, so these are just four aspects, and the all is kind of takes it all in, but it's based more on the dualism that somehow we're pretty much always in the dualism unless you have a moment of enlightenment and then that dualism no longer exists. Now they say the Buddha could see both aspects of it, where we can only do it in an experience. And so we may have understood it in a moment, but we can't stay there, and unfortunately takes a while. So anyway, that's my two bits about that. It's an interesting thing because mindfulness, even though it's been co-opted, is still a fabulous cultural awakening that happens. It's, and even I don't care if what it is, swimming, tennis, golf, mindfulness or whatever. It's still in the intention is right. And so people can then backlog it to what is it that I'm noticing, in the sense, the awareness. And that is, you can't go wrong there, but so anyway, that's my answer. Long answer.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much, John.
Anyone? Oh, there we go.
Vivian, yeah.
I'll see if I can put this into words. So it's about the object of perception.
Mhm.
I think, but I might be deluding myself, that that in my experience, the object of perception actually sometimes can be a doorway to awareness.
Yes.
And so I have a little bit of resistance when it's like, don't allow yourself to be absorbed in the object of perception. Maybe those aren't the exact words, but something like that.
Yeah.
Come back to awareness here, and then see the two, the object is here and you're here, and you bring yourself back. But for me, so for instance, the flowers, we can use that as an example. When something is so delicately perfect, and it could be anything, because I remember even as a little kid, one time a piece of paper blew across the road when I was walking in a city, and I was like 5 or 6, and it was so amazing, and it brought me into art, and I'll never forget the experience of, and it brought me to oneness through the object rather than through. It's the most sense I can make. I don't know how to ask a question, but my experience is that, but when I was in Dharamsala talking to one of the monks or one of the teachers, I was at the library, and I was trying to ask a question similar to this, but I couldn't put it into words. He he said, "Oh, you're like a pig in mud." And, pigs love to roll around in shit. Until you wake up, you'll think it's all beautiful. That's what he said to me.
Okay.
So anyway, I know in this practice, we're supposed to like investigate through our own experience. And
Correct.
yet I think we can delude ourselves through our own experience. And I'm just wondering if you can comment on
Well,
what I just said.
First, yes, we can delude ourselves very easily. This is why the Sampapajana is such, clear comprehension is such a necessary thing, because the mindfulness in itself is just, it's moment to moment to moment to moment awareness, basically. But enough moments will create the intelligence, which is really what we're doing here. And that intelligence then has the ability to discern what it is that's happening. We can get absorbed into objects. One of the practices that you hear about or whatever know is into the absorptions, the jhanas, and those are they're valid. They're not enlightenment, but they are powerful states which hopefully can support you to then look for the awareness and awakening, And I want to discern, because here's one of the things is that awakening has to happen through the object. Okay? And maybe the breath, maybe a thought, maybe objects, a Buddha, it happens through an object. And where is it felt? It's felt in the body, of course, and maybe just in your heart, So it's not that we have, it's just simply we're trying to discern so that we understand that awareness is the backdrop to our experience. Okay, that makes sense to you? So there's it's the backdrop, it's the awareness. It's always there, but most of the time, and most people are not aware of it. They simply are registering, that, do I like the object, or I don't want the object, or I want the object, or I want to get rid of the object. That's kind of what we do, And this is saying, oh no, there's something about the object itself when the awareness is, in a sense, married to it, and then it's no longer no longer a problem, and yet it is an object of perception, and is informing us about the one, the all, the bigger picture, you know? And so, so that sounds great, right? Yeah, I know. Well, you're very welcome, you know. I mean, it is a kind of big deal, you know, that we have to wake up, and there are going to be levels of experience that, in a sense, kind of are moving us towards it. And it's not devoid of the objects, you know. That would be a different kind of state. It would be a state. And we're not trying to achieve states here. We're trying to find out how to live a kind and open and fearless life, you know.
We have time for one more question, maybe
Okay.
online. Anything else in the room here?
John,
Hi, Russ.
I think what I want to say is thank you to you, to the Sangha, to what you said about the lineage all the way back to the Buddha.
Mm.
Because I have encountered a really challenging situation in my life that if I were to be my typical and lifelong self, I would try to control and manage, knowing full well that that would not work. But because I had this toolbox of practice, I went to it and, you know, had a moment where the message was, let it be. Just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Just be with it as best you can, with love and compassion, and it was liberating. So yeah, thank you, all
Well,
of you.
we're all
It's a
thanking each
beautiful
other,
thing.
you know,
Yeah,
because life brings friction and also the chance for freedom, you know. So
freedom.
that's
indeed.
it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So with that, you know, one of the things is when you talk about mindfulness and awareness, it seems like one of the pieces that's there, but is not emphasized so much is the heart, you know, because this is a practice of there's body, mind, and heart. And the heart is when the precepts are there, when the who was it? Sylvie Borstein used to say, well, there's no difference between metta practice and insight practice because they are the same ultimately. And I really see that as true, you know. And I know one of the interesting things to me is over the centuries, we're fearful creatures, you know. We're afraid of change and everything else about it. And metta is this wonderful truth that allows that, you know, the first of these 5 horses, the thing around faith, that allows it to be alive and true, you know. And so I want you just to take a moment, first of all, just to feel your body, you know. This thing is, I don't know how long you're going to have it, but I always say it's borrowed, you know, and I'm so grateful to still be here. And your heart knows, it's something that is in the center of your being, that is not your head. It's not what thinking is. It's actually what is known or felt. And that there is basic, the word kindness is really what metta. Metta is the ability to know kindness, kindness for yourself, and kindness for all those you come in contact with, the community that we deal with here, and the world out there. There is no problem when there's kindness there. And so we have to, in a sense, kind of take that knowing, and we have to take the mind and put the mind in the heart, so that what is being filtered is through the mind is through the heart. And so there is this awareness of kindness and love and sympathetic joy and equanimity as the kind of the foundations of the result of this practice. And one of the beauties of touching the heart that way is happiness. And happiness is not dependent on the sensual world, but is based on our capacity to trust that basic goodness. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free from any inner or outer harm. May you have ease of being. May you awaken for the benefit of yourself and all other beings. May all beings be happy. So stay out of trouble.